Well, good morning, everyone. I know there's a few less of you, but I should still hear something. Good morning, everyone. There we go. I've been a summer camp counselor. I know how to play this game. Lovely to see you all here. It is wonderful, wonderful to see you all here on this cool, lovely Sonoran summer morning. Yes, my weather forecast today said it was going to be cooler in that it won't break 100 today. It's still going to be 97, 98, but any day under 100, we'll take it. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know in this particular one, it's the button on the side. Some of you may have different ones that do different things, but I always make it sure mine is off. Because honestly, it's bad enough when one goes off out there. When one goes off up here, oh, that's not good. It is wonderful and great to see you all and have you all here this morning. And I appreciate whether you're online or watching us in the future, no matter where you are or when you are, we are glad you are here with us. And I'm awfully fond of saying, even if you're not totally certain about what you're doing here, you're in exactly the right place. And we're glad you're here.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all of you here at Mountain Vista UU Congregation, where we rest in and share the desert of what is, was, and always will be the home of the O'odham and the Yaqui people. We acknowledge as a way to reflect our actively seeking to develop right relationships, relationships of justice, equity, and trust with all of us who feel kinship to our home in the Sonoran Desert. My name is Samar Adi, and myself and Linda Logan are the practice associates leading today's service. Our settled minister, the Reverend Matthew Frankreri, is here today, and we'll be working behind the scenes throughout most of this month and next until August. So catch him and say hi afterwards. The work we do would not be possible without our professional staff and volunteers. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to Chris, our music director. Thank you to Stacy Sosa, our religious ed director, Stephanie Morales, our administrator. Thank you to Joel, our song leader and hospitality director. Thank you to the many, many volunteers that contribute each week. Our AV crew, volunteers in RE, volunteers for greeting and hospitality, to Bill Killian, our Zoom host. I am not naming everyone, and know that even if I didn't name you, I am still thanking you. Our services are not just attended by those of you here in person, but also virtually. And so whether you're watching this right now in real time or watching it at a later time, please know that you are welcome. And if all of us can turn around and wave at the camera, we'll try to go a little faster maybe, and do a quick wave at our folks attending virtually. Excellent, thank you. This month is our last one with the yearly theme of Don't Fear the Future. Yeah. It feels difficult to do so, considering what we know happened yesterday with the US bombing of Iran on top of the news of the past few months and the worry of what the future holds. These times feel fearful indeed. And our theme for our next year is The Future Is. So, Unitarian Universalism has 7 principles which reflect the values we hold. The 7th principle is the respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. The visual that came to me yesterday was how much tearing must be happening with that web. Of course, we fear the future. We wouldn't be human if we didn't. But we do have a choice with what we do with it. The future is. Do we let it paralyze us? Or do we allow it to be used as a motivating energy to work on repairing those tears? We've talked about the stress responses here, the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, all very normal and valid stress responses. But today, perhaps we can choose awareness. Awareness of what our instinctual response might be. and slowing it down and asking ourselves what would be the more effective response to this particular situation. And from this awareness, change. Today's service, we will be discussing the Desert Ritual Year, created by the Baja for around a 3-year cycle. This next year, all of the monthly themes fall under social justice. Starting next month, we start with our theme of interdependence, followed by labor and migration. And you've seen most of the posters in the front and in the Oasis room, so some with already words written down. And if you haven't already, please write down your thoughts and thoughts about any of those topics. Some of those themes of what you're hearing today come from what was already written or sent to us. Even better, today, join us afterwards to continue this conversation around interdependence with Linda. Interdependence isn't just a concept, it's a call to action. We are an interdependent web, starting from ourselves, those closest to us, those in our communities, our far-flung connections, and so on. What affects one part of the web affects us all. Thank you and welcome.
And now we'll have our chalice lighting, a reading by an Elizabeth Mount, which fits perfectly for this. From our very first breath, we reach out. Co-regulation, not self-regulation, is in our nature. We find our cues from the sun and the moon, from each parent and caregiver. We find our place in this great turning planet. By turning to one another, generation to generation, we awaken to the dawn and fall asleep at the evening's end. Our life's journey is part of something greater, something simple, something divine. A flame cannot be lit without a spark. A life cannot begin without the air, and we cannot begin to find ourselves without love. May we reach out to one another. May we offer love and nurturing care. May we join together in celebration of the interdependence of our lives. In this spirit, let us worship together.
For everything, there is a season. Good times and bad times, planting and reaping, joys and sorrows. We recognize this each week through our ritual and joys and sorrows. This water, collected from Sonoran skies, our homes and our journeys, represents our congregation. We drop stones into the water as we share joys and sorrows, reflections of these seasons of our lives. We invite our congregation to respond with celebration and comfort.
Thank you. We have a joy today, and Summer Adi's father-in-law had a quadruple bypass on Monday and is now on the mend. He had a heart attack the week before and has been at Northwest for the past 2 weeks. He was just released yesterday and will continue his recovery with physical therapy. We all wish him a very speedy recovery.
We add a handful of stones for the sorrows unnamed, but still present among us. And another for the joys, as a reminder of the seasons held among us, but not spoken out loud. Our pastoral care committee invites you to contact us. We want to hear your joy and sorrow, and with your permission, we will share it on Sundays during our ritual. May we feel the rhythm of these seasons and respond to the need among us. May it be so. So many moving pieces today. One of the truths fear can reveal is just how deeply connected we are. That when harm comes to one, the web of existence stretches and strains for us all. And that perhaps now more than ever, we are being called to remember our interdependence, not as a vague ideal, but as the very fabric of who we are. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. That's more than beautiful words. It's a radical call to relationship. We live in a culture that rewards individualism, that says success is a solo achievement. But the truth is, we can't survive alone. A book I read a few decades ago by journalist Neil Strauss, it's called Emergency, chronicles the anxiety at the time around global events. And the book focuses on his exploration of building survival skills. It's quite an interesting read. He learned knife fighting, he learned wilderness medicine. But ultimately, one of the takeaways he comes to at the end of this book is that we can't survive without community. We could survive as an individual, but we wouldn't survive as a community without community. And so every table we eat at was built by hands. Every article of clothing we wear has a story. Every fruit and vegetable we eat was harvested by someone who woke up at dawn, someone who possibly crossed borders to seek safety and dignity in work, someone who risked everything for a better life for their family. So our web of connections are shaped by migration, by labor, and the choices we make every day. And so migration is not just about movement, it's about survival, hope, and dignity. Millions leave their homes seeking safety, opportunity, belonging. And even now, the ripple effects of this past week will more than likely lead to even more migration. And so immigrants have done so much all over the world, put food on our tables, built the buildings that we step into, provided the care that we receive in times of need. And so much of it comes from the hands of those who've traveled far, and those who may not have had the legal status or protections they deserve, and yet whose labor sustains us all. So we must ask ourselves, how do we see them? Can we truly appreciate what it took for them to come here? Our faith calls us to recognize that borders are human-made, that economic systems may exploit, but that justice is sacred, and that we are called to recognize that disparity, and that none of us thrives alone. And so interdependence challenges us to rethink power. If our comfort is built on another's hardship, can we truly call it peace? If our abundance comes at the cost of exploitation, can we truly call it prosperity? If our peace comes at the cost of killing as a show of strength, is it truly peace? So to talk about interdependence is to talk about justice. Because when we recognize that we are bound together, then the exploitation of one becomes a tear in that interdependent web. When there is active or inactive harm caused to one group, we are all impacted. And yet we can build bridges. We build them when we listen across language and culture. We build them when we recognize the labor behind our comforts. We build them when we march and vote and organize, not just for ourselves, but for those whose lives are different from ours. We build them when we recognize the humanity in all groups who are at war. So interdependence isn't just a theme, it's an invitation to belong to one another more deeply, to be transformed by relationship, to see differences not as division, but as richness, and to affirm the dignity and worth of all of us as human beings. And so we are interdependent. And with that truth comes responsibility, the responsibility to see, to care, to act. Because when we uphold one another's dignity, we do more than just create a just world, we embody love. Thank you. Blessed be. So where you're seated, you probably see some small notebooks with a pen. Please let me know if you need one because there are many around you and we can definitely get you another one. And so hold on to those. I'm going to lead you through a meditation and then give you a moment afterwards to write down some of what comes up. You're welcome to tear out that page and take it with you or leave it in the book. And so take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Allow yourself to settle into this moment, feeling the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath. Allow yourself to inhabit this time and this space. Gently bring your attention inward and ask yourself, who am I? A question asked throughout many generations, throughout many parts of your lifetime. Begin with your relationships. Those who surround you, support you, challenge you. Who are you as a friend, a partner, a family member? What energy do you bring into connection with others? What do you receive? Notice how each relationship shapes you, how interwoven your existence is with those around you. Shift your focus continually inward. What qualities define you? Are you compassionate, resilient, playful, thoughtful? Are you rigid, reactive, serious? Let go of judgment and simply observe. You are a collection of experiences, emotions, and choices. Next, consider your abilities, the ways you move through the world. What skills have you cultivated? What lights you up? How do you show up to the spaces you inhabit? Are you a thinker, an artist, an organizer, a doer? Who are you? Embrace this time to find some clarity and take a moment to write down a list of 8 to 10 things that defines who you are. And as you write those 8 to 10 things, these could be qualities, values, relationships, skills, anything that feels true to you. Trust what rises. I'll give you a minute. Just breathe and write down. Feel free to take this paper with you if you haven't finished. Or if you have finished, notice how each part of you is shaped by experience, by those in your life, by growth. What you write now may have been different than what you wrote 10 years ago, and different again in the future. So take another deep breath in and let it go. And when you're ready, bring your awareness back to this present space and try to ground in today's truth of who you are. And carry this awareness forward, knowing that your identity can be ever evolving, shaped by both your own journey and the connections you hold. Carrying this sense of interdependence with you, knowing that you are both your own person and an integral part of something greater. Thank you.
Good morning. You know, when I heard that news last night, I was wondering just how we could fit all of this into what we're doing here, interdependence. And I realized that it's more important than it ever was that we recognize the interdependence that we must become a part of. You know, I think we're all painfully aware that we're living in very troubled times and frustrating times. You know, I'm very happy to be affiliated with MVUU because it's an organization that recognizes that there's a call to action needed and are not hesitant to heed the call and to join in large and very effective demonstrations. We also have groups here that specifically provide for incredible assistance for some of the most oppressed immigrants who come here from third world countries, escaping dire life-threatening circumstances. They provide lodging, food, medical, legal counseling. They are to be applauded. We are an incredible group of people. However, there is a part of me that knows that there is something out of order in how we are living our lives. There must be something that we are missing or have forgotten. When the subject of interdependence was inserted in our dialogue, something told me that within this concept was perhaps the key to our present dilemma. I have long felt that the lack of knowledge of the oneness of humanity, the feeling of separation, keeps us from acting in a unified manner. Instead, we feel abandoned by our fellow earthmates. I was reminded of a chapter in my book, Put On Your Thinking Cap, which says the following, and this is what we may have forgotten. Biologists have traced the evolution of cells from the time when there was only single-celled life on Earth. They found that within this process, a decision on the cellular level was made, that there was a need to band together to create a greater and stronger entity. With this decision, exponential progress in the multiplication of cells, including you and I as humans, as they multiplied, they began to form groups of specializations, some becoming hearts, some lungs, eyes, etc., to better serve and create a more diversified entity. This decision it began the human necessity of a communal system of life. I want to put in there the fact that, this whole division and taking specialties, we all sort of did it. We didn't know it when we were growing up, but each of us is something different. I looked at what I wrote down when you asked me to write, and I said, I'm a conduit for information. I'm a peacemaker. I'm a person who wants to make sure that people understand who they are. That's the role I've taken ever since I was a little girl. It's amazing. People will come to me and say, well, I remember when you used to say this or that and the other. And it was always to uplift. It was always to make them feel a part of everything. And that's my job here. I know that's what it is. And each of us, when we took those parts, when those cells became those things, none of them considered themselves to be superior to the other, because they knew that they themselves could not survive without the others. They are dedicated to doing their best in their specialty and to keep the entity healthy. And that's our role, is to do whatever it is that's your specialty, to do it to the best that you can, to make sure that everything works right, because each part is the part of the other. We are all connected, if only by oxygen, and I'm saying only by oxygen, but by oxygen. We are all connected. We are connected through a networking of communication that goes out through the electromagnetic currents. That's why you can hear me right now. We can hear everyone all over the earth if you get quiet enough to listen and allow that information to come through to you so that you can help, so you can be there, so that you can support. Sadly, however, the human psyche has not progressed at the same rate. We still don't recognize we are all parts of one entity, and we are here out of the necessity to support one another. Truly, no man is an island. We often applaud independence as the pinnacle of success, standing on your own 2 feet, doing it all yourself. But that idea overlooks a deeper biological truth. We were never meant to do it all alone. From the moment we're born, we depend on others for survival. A baby cannot feed itself, regulate its emotions, or even stay warm without help. The nervous system of the newborn literally syncs with the caregivers. It co-regulates. That's not just emotional, it's physiological. From the moment we open our eyes as newborns, we are wired to connect. A baby's heart stabilizes when held. Its nervous system syncs with the caregiver's rhythm. This is not sentiment, this is biology. Human beings are not designed for isolation. We are literally built to regulate one another's breath, stress, emotions, and hope. And that need doesn't disappear with age. It is for a lifetime. It only changes the needs. We grow up hearing, stand on your own, don't rely on anyone, go it alone. We internalize the myth that needing others is weakness, but that myth is killing us, quietly, invisibly, every day. Loneliness now rivals smoking and obesity as a health risk. Anxiety, burnout, and distrust run rampant. Not because we're broken, but because we're disconnected. We live in a world that praises the self-made, the lone achiever, the independent thinker, the one who needs no one. But let's pause for a moment and ask, Is that how nature works? Is that how we work? We marvel at nature's harmony, bees pollinating flowers, trees sharing nutrients and underground. But we've built a world that tells humans to compete instead of collaborate. This isn't just unsustainable, it's unnatural. Within us, nothing functions alone. The heart pumps, but only because the lungs supply oxygen. The brain thinks, but only because the gut sends its signals. We are networks, even at the cellular level. Inside us, nothing functions in a vacuum. The lungs depend on the heart. The brain depends on the gut. Our bodies are the living proof that interdependence is not optional. It is a law of life. And yet in society, we've forgotten this truth. And worse, we've taught ourselves to ignore it. So here's the truth we must reclaim. Interdependence is not soft. It is not poetic. It is power. It is the source of resilience in ecosystems and in communities alike. And when we abandon it, the consequences are global. We're seeing that every day. Yet somehow in human society, we've forgotten this truth. We have been living in an unnatural way against our true nature. We've built entire systems on the myth of self-sufficiency. We're taught to compete, to isolate, to outshine, rather than to connect, cooperate, and uplift. The result, a world straining under the weight of division, burnout, inequality, and disconnection. We have forgotten that this life is user-friendly, not adversarial. What if our crisis isn't just political or economic, but biological? A widespread failure to honor how we're built to function in connection, in cooperation, in community. It is not a poetic ideal, it is a law of nature. And when we ignore natural law, we suffer the consequences. But here's the good news. What's forgotten can be remembered. What's broken can be rebuilt. We can recall, we can choose differently. We can teach our children and ourselves that strength is not found in standing alone, but in standing together. That wellness isn't just personal, it's collective. That no one thrives until we all do. We are not designed for isolation. Remember, we are literally built to regulate, again, once more, another's breath, stress, emotions, and hope. We are tied together. The question is, what can we do to awaken the memory of the truth of who we are? Here are some suggestions, and I invite you to begin today. Choose connection over convenience. Seek community over comfort. The next time you're tempted to withdraw, reach out instead. The next time you see someone struggling, offer not advice, but assistance. Reach out. Choose patience, bridge a gap, ask for help. Look someone in the eye, letting them know that they have been seen. These are not small acts, they are revolutionary. Let's rewrite the story of human strength, not as solitary, but as symbiotic. Because the future depends not on a single hero, but on a collective remembering that we are always meant to rise together. Let us raise a new generation that knows connection is strength, that recognizes community as a survival skill, and that no one rises until everyone does. Let's use our way of our secret weapon, which is togetherness. What they are using against us is to divide and conquer. They have understood that if you put people in isolation, they will have no strength to work because we must work together. So in every way that you can, reach out. Go with the natural thing that is in you. We were born to come together. We were born to be interdependent. We are here to do that. There is no other way for us to really survive. You want to beat this regime? Come together. That's the last thing they want you to do. The last thing they want you to do is to care about one another. They don't want that to happen. Stop it. When you see yourself going along with something because you've forgotten what we're really here to do, stop yourself. Reach out. Know that they are a part of you, that whatever happens is going to something that's going to influence your life. Be there for everyone. When Summer picks the best readings I've ever heard in my life in here, and they are always about the truth of what is going on. We here at MVUU, excuse me, something doesn't want me to talk. We're like this wonderful little place that has all the right ideas, that wants to do what's right, that feels that. So let us be the catalyst for the world. Let us know that it's going to start right here on Orange Grove. We're going to start right here, that we are going to spread this message of love and joy and peace and togetherness and cooperation, connectiveness, and know that we're doing that. Do it on a conscious level, knowing that whatever you're thinking and doing is going to go out into the world and will be heard and acted on. That's how strong and powerful we really are. So all I can ask you to do is to reconnect today. And so it is, and thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jim Scott.
Fear is often used to silence dissent. Not fearing the future means acknowledging the fear, slowing down and centering with who we are, remembering who we want to be and how we want to show up. The future is. And for the next month, we will be exploring how the future is interdependence, and all through the months, interdependence with all the other themes. And as we wrap up today, I do have a poem by Nikita Gill that I'd love to share. Nikita Gill is a British Indian poet who writes some amazing, check her out if you haven't, but this felt especially appropriate. The rage you are feeling comes from the same place inside your heart as the love. This is why you refuse to accept a world where cruelty reigns and the fire consumes all. You have known hope and joy and kindness like you have known water. And justice is a river that demands you do not give up on it. Nikita, go. As we go into our announcement, our first one is a video by Youth on Their Own. Before the video plays, I do have to share, I have a very special place for Youth on Their Own. I had so many clients who benefited as teenagers or worked with teenagers who benefited from the service of this wonderful organization. And without it, they would not have been able to access some of the resources that Youth on Their Own was able to give them. And so, video of Youth on Their Own and giving thanks.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Camarillo Gutierrez. I am the author of My Side of the River, and I also work in tech. I felt that there was a lack of stories that really talked about the way that immigration and the system impacts children. I was born in Tucson, Arizona, and I actually got acquainted with the Youth on Their Own program, or YOTO for short, because I ended up homeless after my parents were forced to return back to Mexico due to their immigration status. And I always knew that I wanted to pursue my education no matter the cost. And I knew that the best way for me to move forward was to stay in the United States. And the biggest gift that my parents gave me was in letting me go. And unfortunately, that did mean that I ended up couch surfing a little bit. And Youth on Their Own was always there for me in providing me the support that I needed when I felt like I had nobody else. And they did this financially by providing me with monthly stipends. And they also provided me with healthcare, which was invaluable at the time because otherwise I wouldn't have had a way to go to the doctor or get anything else that I might have needed. Youth on Their Own really started to support me when I was 15 years old. So I was a freshman in high school. It lasted for the rest of the 4 years that I was in high school. And throughout that, their support was so unwavering. At the end of the day, it's super straightforward, non-judgmental support. And that is what teenagers need. That is what people underage need to be able to pursue their education in a way that feels normal. You know, I kept pushing forward with the knowledge that I had a community that was there for me, that was supporting me, and that wanted to see me succeed. And I ended up graduating from the University of Pennsylvania in 2018 and had some crazy opportunities, obviously, like writing and giving a TED Talk, which led to a book deal. And now we have that book that is published today. It is really, really exciting to be here and to have the opportunity and to have my voice just be supported in the way that it has.
So as a reminder, these are our themes for the following year. And so you will see them in post boards around the Oasis and the front. Please feel free and please do continue to write down some of your thoughts on any part that comes up around those themes. But also a reminder, Linda will be out there hosting a table to continue the discussion on interdependence. And so please join us. Today's Releasing the Flame. Releasing the Flame. Interbeing by Thich Nhat Hanh. The sun has entered me. The sun has entered me together with the cloud and the river. I myself have entered the river, and I have entered the sun with the cloud and the river. There has not been a moment when we do not interpenetrate. But before the sun entered me, the sun was in me, also the cloud and the river. Before I entered the river, I was already in it. There has not been a moment when we have not interbeen. Therefore, you know that as long as you continue to breathe, I continue to be in you. Blessed be.